Hello, everybody. If you've seen that movie a long time ago, old black and white horror movie, Them, all about the ants, that's what I was dealing with this morning. So that's why we're a couple of minutes late. I was running around like Witch Hazel, trying to deal with the ants and get them their breakfast. Fortunately, I don't know why this happened. I've never done it before, but I made their mash. I did all their mash prep last night instead of today. Otherwise, I would have been totally in trouble. So,
Is StreamYard now advertising because that post does not come from you, right?
yeah, dude. I didn't know what the button. There's a little button on my screen. I wasn't sure what it was, and I pressed it, and it came up with that.
Ah.
So you guys can ignore that. That's just. I just wanted to know what the button was, and the problem is when you touch it, it does that. So
Advertising for StreamYard.
Yeah, well, StreamYard, we've had good luck with it. I mean, it's not always perfect, but we've had pretty good luck with it. But that's not why. I just didn't know what the little thing was on my screen and touched it. So. Yeah, I was like that when I was a kid too. Apparently, I like that when I was just a toddler, and I like to try electrical sockets. So that looks interesting. I wonder why there's holes in the wall. Um, Probably explains a lot. What do you think, Shug? It does. It does explain things. Yeah. How about you, KK? No comment? Yeah, Pippa didn't make it too long. She's on a mission to go after Jasmine. So I think she might have been defending me because Jasmine did something that wasn't too smart. She jumped on the couch. And I'm coming in with KK and she's on the couch and I had to use my louder voice with her so she'd get off the couch. And as soon as I did that, up goes Pippa's crest, and then she was chasing Jasmine ever since. So I have to take some guilt in that, I guess. But it's better than having KK try to eat her. So, right, KK? So when this is over, I will probably bring her back out. But I can't really. I don't want to be running around the room, looking like a crazed maniac trying to chase her because she flies and she flies really well too. So she doesn't want to be caught. I had to chase her. So she did not want to go. She was holding on to the ropes. I'm not leaving. She's a good girl, though. I think she was just protecting me. But getting her out of here when she's like that, it's a small victory, but we work on our victories here and there. Don't we, KK? And hello, everybody, and those people who are going to watch this later, especially those people who don't watch the first 8 seconds and move on, which seems to be what they're training people to do here. So probably why the literacy rate is lower here than it is in Uganda. Actually, Uganda's got a pretty good literacy rate. We're at 74% in the U.S. And 54% of them can't read above the 6th grade level. That means there's some of them that read at 3rd grade level. And it's not like I'm anything special. I just was a little kid nobody would play with, so I read books all the time, and that's where I developed the ability to understand English. Yes? Is that right?
So 2 chatters dropped in. So welcome to Falcon Sue and Calvin Thurston.
Hello, Falcon Sue. Hi, Calvin. Every time I hear Thurston, though, I think of the 3 hour tour. The Gilligan's Island thing pops into my head. Which sadly, when I was young, I used to watch that. Which is it's got the intelligent. It's not a terribly intelligent show, but oh well. What can I say?
KK, you look a little bit worn out.
Well, he was watching me chase Pippa, so he's looking at me like that's my job. I usually chase Pippa.
Mm. He would do it for you, but you said no.
He's been great since I brought him in here this morning.
Oh,
He didn't
good
go
boy.
after Jasmine when Jasmine was on the couch, and he didn't get involved when Pippa was chasing after Jasmine. He's behaving quite well. Hi, Eleanor.
Hello.
Hello. Someone must be sleeping. Oh,
So Rosebot Atkins is here. Welcome, Rosebot.
hello, Rosebud.
And Falcons says she has watched a video about, let's see, the Jesus Christ lizards on National Geographic.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
They're so cool animals around.
Yeah, I saw that thing and I was just totally amazed by it. I watched a whole bunch of videos on it a long time ago. So, hey, that's my show. Leave it alone. Hey, you see how much he really pays attention to my loud voice. He listens to me, but it doesn't really disturb him. You gonna come up here? No,
No,
you're
he
gonna.
says your shoes are evil and he needs to fight them first.
Yep. What a character you are, big
Could
boy.
they nip you in the toes, or if you have no shoes and walk
Huh.
barefoot? Or are your toes safe with cockatoos around?
I haven't tried it in a long time, so I'm not sure. I used to be able to walk around without shoes, but I'm not sure
Because
that that
I
would work.
wonder if it just is hatred against the shoes or if they just cannot stand our feet.
I stop it. I think he just enjoys messing with me, is what it really comes down to. With him, anyway. With Lorelai, I know it's just messing with me. That's
So
the
you
only
think
reason she does
he
it.
is that smart and things like he's wearing protection at the feet so I can start there?
Yeah, well, they are smart. I think that is true. I think that's what's going on.
No, I think they're liberating your feet. They're helping you. They're letting your toes free from toe jail.
You have
That's a
unfortunately stepped
possible.
into
Yeah.
a shoe and now they need to help you free your feet.
Yep. Trying to get my feet out of shoe jail. Yeah, I can see that.
So welcome to Jem and Jamie.
Hi, Jam and Jamie. So, what we're going to talk about today is that frustration that I will say most people feel when they're dealing with a parrot's behavior and they just can't either fix it or stop it or figure out how to turn it some other way. I say most people because, of course, that never happens to me. I never feel frustrated. And if you believe that, I have some swampland here in the desert, not far from Death Valley to sell you, because we all feel that frustration. KK feels it when he can't get the bird he wants to eat close enough to eat it. Well, he doesn't really want to eat them, but you know. You laughing now? Are you laughing at me or are you saying hello, KK? Yeah, right. Rant, rant. Now, sometimes it feels like no matter what you do, it's just going to keep getting worse, or it's going to stay like that. It's kind of like having a house built next to your house where you hear them, the workers working all day, and when is that sound going to stop? But this is a universal experience. When you're working with parrots, everybody feels it. And few people work up to where they can have a room with many parrots in it and deal with it. But I mean, I didn't start out this way, just kept adding a bird in, and sometimes taking one out, like I had to do with Pippa earlier. She gets a mindset. She'll be back in here, but after the live stream, I'm not going to take a chance where I have to throw the phone across the room while I try to go get her. Um, but don't think of that frustration as a failure. You have to think of it as a time to transform. You're going to transform your behavior so that you can transform their behavior. Because it all starts with that kind of human change, that humans have to alter their behavior. And that begins by paying attention. You got to pay attention to it. So usually the frustration is, it's really based on the gap between what you want them to do and what they are doing, right? You know, it's like, don't, Pippa, don't go after Jasmine. Don't go after Jasmine. Don't go after Jasmine. No, 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 no. And she does something right. Good girl, good girl. She does it again. So to say that I was a little frustrated when she was sitting up there and decided to fly all the way across the room to get Jasmine. So I just got him off my lap, sat him to the side, and brushed my old hind end over there and separated them, and then kept peeling her off the perches she kept wanting to grab onto because she didn't want to leave. Now, I've dealt with the issue of biting in that situation, so I rarely ever get that from any bird that's been around me for more than a year, and she didn't try to bite. And that would just be to stay here and protect me. But the frustration is from the point where she's doing the behavior I don't want her to do, which is trying to go after Jasmine and getting her out the door and into her cage. And with her, that's wings and beak and claws going everywhere to try to stop me from doing what I'm doing. Just moving her out of the room. And of course, in her world, she's doing the right thing. She's protecting me. So if you're dealing with a situation like that daily, it's easy to go into a spiral, you spiral down because I'm never going to be able to fix this. I have an advantage over all you people. I have this memory issue so that I actually don't remember yesterday. I remember technical details. Um, it's like the lady who lives in town, and she's got it too. I figured it out. And when I asked her, I said, "When did you do last Wednesday?" She looked at me and she goes, "I hate it when people ask that question. Who could possibly know what they did last Wednesday?" I said, "Or yesterday, right?" She goes, "Right." So from day to day, if I'm dealing with the same problem, the next day it's like, well, I got this problem. I got to deal with it. But for the rest of you folks, most of you, there's probably some people out there watching who have what I have and don't know it, because the majority of people don't, and I didn't for most of my life. So um, those people tend to work with parrots better because they don't hold over that grudge from the day before. But for the person with a normal, what we would call normal, but it really isn't, but someone with the average memory, the episodic memory, they're going to remember yesterday I had this problem with this bird, and now I see it again, and oh, it's going on forever. This has been going on since last Wednesday. So self-doubt is going to be a a problem. So when you start to feel frustrated, it's kind of like when you see a sign on the freeway. You see frustration up there. Well, once you see that sign, that's a good time to start. No, you can't do that. Um, you realize it's not the end of the road that you're dealing with now. It's just a signpost on the road where you're going. So, and if you recognize your own frustration, you can kind of step back and say, what is going on here? Why am I getting this? What is the bird trying to do? One lady had her cockatoo would come over whenever she was on the computer and start nipping at her. Now, you probably guessed why the cockatoo was doing this, but she didn't guess right away. Because when we're in those situations, when you're in a situation, you tend to block out a lot of the correct answers. I know I do. So it took her a while to realize that the bird didn't want her, paying attention to the computer. She wanted her to pay attention to her. So what she worked out was a perch next to the computer where the bird could sit and she could pet the bird occasionally while she was using the computer, and the problem went away. So, but she was pretty frustrated there for a while. Um, so when you get frustrated, it's a call to pause yourself and look inward before you act. Okay. Some people, a bird will start, let's say misbehaving, but they're doing something we don't want them to do, and they put them right back in the cage. Well, if that's what the bird wants, you're just going to make it so it keeps happening. So you try not to quickly make a decision, but think about it. If you have to do something like that once, you think about what's other ways I could do this. Where else could I put the bird? Or what else could I do to try to break the situation, right? So think of it as kind of a meditation. Whenever you get frustrated, it's time to turn inward and look. Okay. So, what are some practical tools? Do you know any practical tools for it? You do? What are they? KK. What are the practical tools? Pause and breathe. Just take a moment, take a few breaths. Breathe in, hold, don't hold it, just breathe in and then breathe out. And then breathe in and breathe out. Do that about 3 or 4 times. If it's a situation where you can walk away and just calm yourself down, do that. I wouldn't walk away if the bird's eating your keyboard. That's probably not the right choice. Oh, well, I'll just come back. I'm sure the keyboard will be fine. So it's important to regulate your own emotions before you try to regulate a bird's. If you're like, I don't like you doing that, well, that's not the right attitude. Okay, you need to really you have to say, what are you doing up there, Cecil? He's chewing on a toy. But
When we just talk about Cecil, Lisa Banerjee just joined us. So welcome, Lisa.
hey, Lisa.
She's the president of the Cecil Fan Club.
Yeah, he's a great bird. He will test your frustration level, though. He knows how to get you. I mean, I taught him to stop nipping at me to get petted, so now he comes up and paws me all the time. I pet him at least 5 times more than I used to. And I have to, because if I stop petting him, I'm going to have an extinction burst, which means he's going to try all kinds of different things. It's the guy with the Coke machine who can't put the money in there and the Coke doesn't come out and he's hitting the machine and kicking it. That's what you get. So I have to respond to it. But that's Cecil. He figured out I can control him. And that's good. He's got control in his world. So it doesn't bother me. Sometimes it's inconvenient when I have 3 birds that all want to be petted and he's pawing at my arm. I have to find some way to do it. But so you need to kind of go into a reflective mode and think, what is Cecil trying to tell me? Or what is Snowball trying to tell me? You look at Snowball in his cage. A lot of times you look at him and he's sitting on the bottom of his cage. Now, a lot of times that's not a good sign, but with him, it's for another reason. He's sitting on the bottom of his cage right next to a frisbee. Now, I know it, and he has a certain look on his face. That means I want you to open the door so I can toss the frisbee out. I didn't figure that out in a day. I think it took more than a week, but I eventually figured out that's what he was. And you know how I figured it out? I would open the door, and the next thing, frisbee would come flying out. So, that was kind of a not a difficult one to figure out. But some of their behaviors are harder to figure out. If you try to give him a treat and he won't take it, that means he wants to be petted. So he's showing that he's interested in you. You try to give him a treat and he looks at you like that's an insult. He wants to be petted instead. So you always ask yourself, what is my bird trying let me choke to death here. What is my bird trying to communicate? My voice is rough from yelling at Pippa this morning. So. And you can yell at them. As long as you don't have any anger in you, yelling is fine. They yell all the time, and they're louder than I am. So they could be hungry. They could be mating season. They might be overstimulated. They could be bored. There's a bunch of different, these are just some of the basics, different reasons a bird may be acting a certain way. If it's mating season and you've left a pile of papers that are important on the table, that's probably not good because what birds do when it's mating season is they chew up things like that and make nests. So why is my bird chewing up my legal documents here I'm supposed to take into the attorney? Probably because it's that time. So try to be data driven, not drama driven. Don't let drama drive you. So the bird's yelling and screaming and jumping up and down and doesn't look happy. Okay. Why? What kind of data can you look? What's in the room? Oh, I just brought in the broom. Okay, so I brought a broom in, and now the bird's out. Well, maybe the bird doesn't like the broom. That's what happened with Peaches the first time I brought out a broom. You'd think I was going to hit her with a stick or something. So obviously she'd been hit with a broom before. That's the most probable reason a bird will react like that. But try to use observe your bird like a scientist, right? Put on your mad scientist hat and try to, which is what they called me when I was a kid. The kids wouldn't play with me in the neighborhood, but because I was the mad scientist. But playing with a chemistry set, occasionally setting things on fire. Yes, that's the way I was. Yeah, it is exactly how I was. But observe, take notes. Oh my word, write something down. Geez, in this world. Now, if you have trouble with that, take a little thing of sticky notes with you and just write down things on sticky notes and stick them in places. This is where, Fred has a problem in this room. So you put the sticky note up there, Fred. Fred screams in this room. Yeah, find a way. Find some way to take notes and look for patterns, okay? Not just problems. Because most problems are patterns of behavior. And once you figure out what the pattern is, you can fix it. And when I say fix it, it means make it better for you and make it better for the bird. You could stop a bird from chewing, but if it doesn't have anything to chew on, it'll probably go psychotic. Yeah. Did I say psychotic? Did that get your attention? Yeah. Cecil.
Is it psychotic? Who, me?
Yeah. And you should shorten the goalposts too. Don't expect the final behavior you want. You want your bird to be totally silent all day? I hope not, but that's what you want. And so as soon as the bird makes a sound, oh, I failed. It's all over. The bird made a sound. No, shorten the goalposts. He usually screams all the time. He hasn't screamed for 30 seconds. Wow, that's a win, right? Because really, working with birds is win or lose. If you're going to let something get in the way of winning, well, then you've chosen to lose because you can win. I mean, if I could do it, you can do it, right, Cecil? He says, yeah, he can do it. Anybody can, right, Cecil? So don't aim for perfection. Aim for progress. You know, if you're aiming for perfection, you ain't gonna get there. It ain't gonna happen. I had a friend who had a green wing macaw, and she thought she had that bird totally trained so it wouldn't go to anybody else, right? And I've told the story before, but we're at the Renaissance Fair, and she's facing away from me, and Claude's on a perch next to me, and big old green wing macaw. Nobody else can handle this bird. Nobody else. Oh, no. And I just reached over and picked him up, put my arm on there, and he got right on me. Um, and the look of frustration on her face was incredible. You know, I taught that bird not to do that, not to go to anyone else. Well, so so even just a moment, you've got a bird that's running around, you're trying to calm the bird down. It stops for a moment and looks at you, just gives you a glance. That's a win. Okay, take it. You know, give yourself a gold star. I don't know where you stick them on the refrigerator if you want to. You know, that way when people come over and go, "Why do you have all those? You know, looks like you have 100 gold stars on your refrigerator." Because I got my bird to look at me 100 times. So take those wins and be gentle with yourself. Okay, you're not going to be have a good relationship with your bird if you go off the handle every time something happens that you don't want to happen. You know, I had someone send me a picture, and it's of a handbag, and the caption, I'm just paraphrasing, but the caption basically went, I had this handbag for almost a year before it was broken in by my cockatoo. And you see the chew marks on it. That's a big win. A handbag lasting a year? No, that's you know, you should really get a big gold star for that. Or maybe go out to take yourself out to dinner. So when things don't go right, maybe you lose it, you get a little angry and you have to walk out of the room and you're chiding yourself. Just take a breathe a little bit. Reaffirm your dedication. I'm gonna make this work, right? And don't take out the cat o' nine tails and start flailing your back, peeling the skin off because you've lost it. Just get out of the situation, calm down, breathe, get back into the situation. We all have to do that. And if you don't do that, you're at some point you're gonna overdo it and then really feel bad. So you don't want that to happen. So develop a process of observing and figuring out what they want and finding ways to give them things to solve that need, right? And if you do that, then you're building faith, you're building trust, okay, with your bird. So even when you don't see the change happening, you're building trust, okay? You're taking that trust bank and you're putting in coins. Ding, ding, ding. Now, it may only be pennies for a while. You may move up to quarters, nickels, dimes, a euro, a ruble, whatever it is. You're just going to keep putting something in that trust bank. Just try to do everything you can not to empty the trust bank by something you do. Right? If the bird expects you to give them a treat at a certain time, and then one day you just don't do it because you get busy. Well, you've just broken trust. Because they will know, and boy, they do know, when there's something, a reward they're expecting to get, and it doesn't come. Sometimes that can just be, you usually spend 5 minutes. I can give you an example. Sugar in the morning. I don't chew on my shoe and don't use that. Usually use the toy as an excuse. Don't chew my foot. Um, I have to pet her at a certain point. I have to pet her beak and pet her head before I give her peanut butter with her medicine in it. She gets quite a bit of medicine, without which she would look like, she might look like, well, she'd be at the vet for a couple hours and we're not sure if she'd live. Let's put it that way. But if I don't pat her at the right time and I look over, she is looking at me and she's looking at me with a look like, did you forget something? I mean, it doesn't happen often, but I always manage to get her petting in, even if I don't give it right at the time she expects. She does get a little bit uh, unhappy with me if it's a little late, but as long as she gets it, she's okay. One thing I do not want to do is pet her and then try to give her peanut butter stick with the medicine in it. If I don't put some time between the two, then she looks at me like this is not how it's done, and then she'll turn away from me, and that's not good because then I have to work hard to get her to take her medication. So trust comes from being consistent, not from fixing something right now, but taking your time to fix it and keeping them in mind and trying to make sure they're happy. What are you saying down there, buddy boy? So frame your frustration as a test, okay, of your persistence in your heart. They can do a lot to, I know that people will say, you're so patient to me. And I think, before I was around parrots, I wasn't patient. They taught me patience. I know, I learned patience from you, didn't I? Mhm. I did. I learned patience from you, big boy. What a good boy. What a good boy. You're being such a good KK about bird. So victory is when you keep going, no matter how tough it is, no matter how high the mountain you have to climb. But if you're climbing a mountain and it takes 11 days to climb that mountain, and on day 10 you give up, you're never going to see the top of the mountain. Never. So you've got to go all the way to win. If you don't, you lose.
You clearly have never seen the movie Everest. You wouldn't
No.
have picked that as an example.
Well, I wasn't. I was actually thinking of Mount Fuji myself, so I wasn't thinking of Everest. And if I'm correct, there's an actor in that movie I don't like, so I probably will never see it. The one that has marbles in his mouth from New, excuse me, from New Jersey.
Don't get it.
I I think it has an actor in it I don't like. Isn't Sylvester Stallone in there?
Oh, gosh.
I
Not
don't
in
know the movie, so
Everest.
I don't know.
Jake
I know
Gyllenhaal
he
was
was.
in there.
I know he was in some mountain climbing movie. I know
And
that.
and most others are mm, it's not like the top range of Hollywood stars in the movie. But I just like the movie because they have lots of impression of the surrounding and the environment of Everest, and also the story is quite intriguing. I mean, it bases on a real story, but No, I don't spoiler. Oh my gosh, I'm sitting here and probably the whole people watching are like, oh no, she's spoilery. So please stay, I won't. I'm going to read the comment by Lisa Banerjee.
Okay.
Lisa says, I think you have to stay calm owning a parrot. Some parrot owners lose patience and ruin the behavior and cause issues. It's always the owner, not the parrot.
Yep, you're right. In fact, in the Basaba manual, the British Small Animal Veterinary Association manual on parrots, it says exactly that. It says that, or it was talking about cockatoos, but it lists all these problems and says the problems are always the owner. Cockatoos do not have these problems normally. It's so when you have a cockatoo and it has a problem, it's because of you. And that helps because if you know it's you, you can change your behavior. I mean, you change your behavior, they'll change theirs.
And what you have
And
to
often,
remember too is that the bird has nothing else in its life apart from you. So everything you do is magnified.
yeah, that's right. And the outer world will often mimic you. So if you have a bird that's acting frustrated and you see that bird is angry, you're just seeing your own anger and frustration thrown back in your face. So you work on yourself and it'll change. Become more observant, work on being calmer, being more understanding. These are all great traits that you can develop just by owning. You don't really own them, but just by having a bird in your environment. And while we still have these lovely creatures, because the laws haven't made it, illegal for breeders to breed them yet, um, someone needs to be there for them, and it is a good way to grow your personality, make yourself better in the process, right, Cecil? You're gonna hit me with that? Go ahead. Go ahead. You must. No, not today. Okay. Lucy, are you preening up there? She's
Yeah,
doing a
it's really
stretch.
impressive what she is doing up there. Lots of stretching and birdie yoga while preening.
If I tried to turn my neck the way she's turning her neck right now, I'd be in the hospital. These guys are
Yeah,
so flexible. It's amazing how flexible they are.
yeah. But as human, you can also be quite flexible, but you have to train it for a long time.
Yeah, I can't tell you how long it took with Bob, but when I first got him, he was a screamer. And when I say screamer, I mean he would scream for an hour or two at a time. And you hear him once in a while now. He might do it for 5 minutes here and there. But it took probably a year. Time and I don't get along. I think I'd probably get along with Einstein because his concept of time is probably closer to mine. Um, but it did take a long time with him. When I first got him, it was just rah, 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 when he wasn't getting attention. Now he's happy with a half hour of attention. I'd like to give him more, but in this room, I'd have to find some other way to configure the room, I think. Because if there's a couch, he doesn't behave well. And I can't have him trying to attack birds. He goes for their
Hmm.
faces. So out in the
Poor boy
aviary, he's
has a little
great.
trauma. He
Huh?
has been rejected by so many homes that he is always unsure if you not just take him somewhere else and leave him. So that's probably one of his issues. So when he has the feeling you are good with him and won't take him to somebody else or so, then I think he's fine.
He's
And
a
there's
great
a
bird.
Cecil.
He's a great
Hmm?
bird. He's tough. He taught me a lot about frustration. That bird taught me
Lisa
how.
says, my boy Cecil.
Yeah. See if I can switch the camera. I hope at some point they actually listen to me and make it easier to switch cameras, but it seems a no-brainer. You'd think they would do that, but that's a Cecil.
The only thing the big platforms do right now, when you ask me, is spending effort in making it more difficult for you to get rid of advertising.
What?
Oh, that's certainly true.
I didn't understand. I'm not sure. Maybe Cecil stole the idea out of my head. What did you say?
I was just complaining about the big platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and whatever, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
they only make it more difficult for us users to get rid of advertising and do not improve anything else. So at the end, it's a loose game for us.
Yeah.
And now things like Disney Plus are trying to bring in tiers where you pay a subscription fee and you have to watch ads. So it's like we've literally gone full circle. Now we've got cable TV again.
Yeah, it's like, that's cool. Paying for watching apps. No.
Yeah. Well, that on Amazon, if you're an Amazon Prime member, some of the stuff doesn't have ads, but it'll tell you whether or not this has ads or not. So when I start something for them, I just make sure it doesn't have ads, and then it always picks one without ads after that. So I'm sure at some point they'll switch it so the ads start showing up, but right now they don't. Some of the movies they do that too. You can only watch this movie with ads. And say, no, I can't watch this movie because I won't watch ads. Even if it's for them, I don't like them watching ads. I, you know, I
I
have
also
a
do
name.
not believe in the effect of ads, because when you think like the ads come more to people who are not able or willing to afford an non-advertising abonnement. But the thing is, if you are not able, willing to afford, so you are likely a person who doesn't want to spend money on something else. So showing these people the advertising doesn't make much sense to me.
I have a name for them, and I think I can get away with saying it. Well, these are the people. These ads, especially the ones on YouTube, they're horrible. The people who make these ads are ad holes. That's what I call them.
That's actually excellent. You could probably go into prison for that if you uh, call a politician in Germany like that.
Yeah, same here in the UK. Like if you tweeted that, then straight to jail for you.
Well, in my book, it includes the people who get paid to do the ads too, the actors and anybody who could do an advertisement for this kind of junk. They're lowlifes, and that makes them an ad hole. Um,
You know what happens to all the spammers?
no, yeah, and General Suarez had the best answer for that.
Mhm. But it's fun to watch Cecil.
Yeah, he's starting to get creative with that toy now, so I don't know what he's doing with it, but he gets creative. Yeah, having a parrot in your life, if you do it right, can actually improve your character. I'm sure if one of my ex-wives, which will probably never happen, actually showed up at my door, they'd go, "Where's Don?" So, because these guys are amazing. You can see yourself in their behavior. So,
Yeah, Gem and Jamie says in chat that her Luna makes her a better person.
yeah, it's amazing how they do that, isn't it? Now there's people who get them in their home and they just can't handle it and they start running around screaming. I wrote that one article that started off like a person who's a rescuer would think I was talking about parrots, but it's actually the people who bring them in and don't. I just want something pretty that's in a cage. I can take it out whenever I want to. Those people, right? And then the next thing you know, I mean, they're living in Hades, right? The whole world is turned horrible. Well, it's really because of them, but they don't know that. They don't realize it. They're used to controlling everything in their environment. Try to control a parrot. Go for it. It's not going to work. You need to be persistent. You need to be caring. All the good things they developed in me, right, Cecil? What are you doing with that? You're just playing with one. It's a bead and a string, so it's two toys in one, I guess. So use the frustration that you feel as a signpost to let you know I'm doing something wrong. I need to reframe my vision. I need to observe what's happening in my environment and figure out ways to make my environment more peaceful. It doesn't always mean carrying Pippa out, but that's one of the things I had to do. Is doing a live stream when she's like that. It's pretty tough. I can do it when she can be in here without not doing a live stream because I can run around and I can scream and yell at her. She doesn't mind the yelling. It gets her attention. This is something people don't understand about parrots too. Is they're louder than I am. So when I'm yelling, I'm just getting their attention. That's how they get each other's attention anyway. And after that, they do body language. So when she's looking at me, I'm making it obvious with my body that I don't want her chasing Jasmine. So, but they are their own person. They will make their own decisions. And sometimes it's not the decision you want. So you have to find ways to work it out with them, to make compromises with them. So they get what they want out of life and you can have that you.
Oops, did
Where
we
did
lose
Don
Dawn?
go? We have lost Don. Oh no.
No, but the good thing is, I think I can start some little videos. Who wants to see Sugar saying hi? So I have raised my hand, so
Oh.
I guess you like to see that as well.
Yeah, it's cute.
Hi. 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 Hi.
Hello. Yeah, some idiot forgot to to put on the focus for the online meeting. So a phone call tried to come in. So that always kills it.
Yo.
Well, we enjoyed Dino Shug very much.
I
Yeah,
watched.
it's
I
always
watched
a
the end of
pleasure
it
to
too.
watch. So meanwhile, Jocelyn Trill came in chat. Welcome, Jocelyn. And Falcon Sue says, Shug the Velociraptor. I'm not sure if I.
Velociraptor.
Yeah. And then we got a donation from Jam and Jamie about $14 saying sweet sugar. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Sugar says, now after that, we need big pets.
Did she hear herself and said, oh, what a lovely voice I just heard.
I think that's what that was all about. She's, I need beak
Yeah.
pets now.
That's funny. She comes over when she can listen to her own video.
That's the kind of thing Sugar would do, though, if she could have a button to press to make the whining sound instead of making it herself. Like, she'd just press it and then it would whine for her. It's like just a way of saving energy.
Definitely a Sugar thing.
I hope not. I don't want that to happen. I'd be hearing the whining sound all the time. She'd put it on auto repeat, wouldn't you, girl?
Mm.
Nah, sometimes she wants to just play, and other times she wants to eat, but
What a good sugar bird.
okay. Why are you pulling your face away? Do you want to get petted or not?
Says, I was just checking you were paying attention.
You're pointing the camera at me. That's what it comes down to. Why are you pointing the camera at me? Hmm? What are you doing with your head hanging down here? You okay? You okay? You all right? You all right? Oh, there's that whine. You okay? You've got your head hanging there for. Hmm? Okay, bird.
So Jocelyn says she's going back to Buffalo tomorrow.
Buffalo.
Buffalo girls, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight. Come out tonight. Buffalo girls, won't you come out tonight?
Sunny likes that song.
She just headbutted me. I don't know if that means she likes it or not.
Jocelyn is interested if there are any test results from blood work. I think she refers to the blood work from Corsi because that is what we talked about lately.
The CBC came back normal. The other one takes a while because they only process them on Tuesday. So we got it up there. They actually received it on Tuesday, so they wouldn't do the processing for another week. So we should be getting those results by Friday. And then the way this is going to work is that I'm going to get a nice vial of the medicine and some sharps, and I'm going to be giving her injections. So we're going to keep her on the injections regardless of what the test says because we seem to be seeing some change in her vision. She certainly seems she's looking at me a lot more, where before she didn't. She never really looked at me. It was kind of like she was looking at a blur or something. So I'm pretty sure it's going to come back positive. But even if it doesn't, it's not going to hurt to keep her on it for a while. The medicine is similar to meloxicam, but it doesn't affect one of the receptors that meloxicam does. So it doesn't affect her digestive system at all.
I see a crest, an open crest. Hi, Cecil. Do you want to flirt with the camera the last couple of minutes?
Please, Salt. What are you giving me that big face for? No, you can't lick my nose.
He wanted to have his face in the camera, huh? Having the crest up, going slightly into the picture. He says, let's talk a little bit about the Cecil.
That's Cecil. My cause is doing great. Last night I decided to make the mash, which I'm glad because I had the ant attack this morning, but I decided to make the mash last night because I make a base that lasts for a while. I take 2 of them and they go in the refrigerator, and then I put the little buckets of them in the freezer, and then for the next week after that. But I hadn't done that. I don't know if I could have got in here. I wouldn't have been able to get them their food in time because I have to cut up all that stuff and make a huge mess, and there's ants all over the kitchen and stuff. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're only on around the kitchen sink, that area, but they're currently munching on a solution of sugar water and boric acid. So, and there was one little section where I saw them coming in where I could spray some termicide. So that stuff's amazing. You spray it on them, they just keep walking like nothing, and then you don't see them. A week later, they're gone. But she was last night. She was all over the place. I'm cooking, and she decides she's going to fly over to my shoulder while I'm cooking, and I've got this. She's dancing all around on my shoulder while I'm trying to cook. It was funny. Cause, what are you doing?
That's Cecil. Okay,
yeah, that's Cecil. Yeah, but I was saying, Cause, what are you doing? Because she knows I have this little thing I throw over my shoulders where she can hold on tighter. And,
you have that tiny cape so she can hold on.
I call it the Cosy cowl, but I put that thing on. She starts rolling around on the top of that bird. She goes all around in circles because she wants to ride with me while I give the birds food. And then she won't come off my shoulder until we're coming back towards the kitchen. I put my arm out, and then she'll go in her cage. But if I try to do that at any other time, she hides from me. She won't let me take her off the shoulders. So.
I just got the idea that we also need a birdie belt for you, so Lucy has something to hang on while you're walking around.
Yeah, probably do. Well, thanks, guys, for being here. I'm going to bring Pippa back in, and we will see you guys on Monday.
Thanks for coming, everybody, and thanks for the stream, Don.
Wa plaisir. Thank you, Amy and Eleanor, for moderating and putting up with me. We will see you all later.
Oh, Jamie just donated another $10. One more for luck, so thank you for that.
science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
The Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.